Okay, let's talk about the Sixers because they are a winner. And now we say that they're a winner and they just came off like with maybe the worst loss in the history of basketball to the Celtics,
Yeah.
who were also a winner. So I want to get your feelings on James Harden and Joel Embiid's fit. And then I'm
Yep.
going to kind of talk about what I think of as being maybe why I don't 100% love the trade, but just, the talent upgrade is real.
Yeah. So yeah, it sounds like we might have this similar take, really. I'm not 100% sure about the pairing. I will say that. I continuously see people saying like, "Oh, this is going to be a devastating pick and roll." And I don't know when Joel Embiid became a pick and roll finisher, Like he's not going to be better in the pick and roll than Clint Capella was for Harden. Right? He's obviously a whole lot better, but Joel Embiid like having low post footwork and a face up game doesn't benefit you in the pick and roll. That's just about like how high can you jump, how big are your hands, how big is your catch radius. Like he's a fine pick and roll player, but his vertical doesn't make him an elite one. I wouldn't think. So, but yes, they will run pick and rolls with Harden and Embiid, and they will work pretty well for sure. My bigger concern really is Harden finally gonna actually fucking do something when somebody else has the ball? Because if he's just standing at the center line with his hands on his knees while Embiid's going to work on the low block, that's less value than Ben Simmons brings to that half court offense, right? Like at least Simmons is there, Harden. We have literally seen the man stand at the half court with his hands on his knees and wait out the possession because it's not his turn. So he's gonna have to like listen. I said this to my friend the other day. James Harden is probably my favorite and least favorite player in the NBA. That's how complicated my feelings are, right?
That's called
But
love. That is called love. I
it's
mean, that is
toxic.
that,
It's
that
toxic love.
it's love. Like that's what love is.
Yeah, it's love. It is. But having said that, I recognize, of course, the value that he brings to any offense for any team he plays. But he's going to have to finally work off ball to make this one work, in my opinion. What are you thinking?
I I just don't know because I think the James Harden doesn't work off ball narrative. Like I get it and we've seen that, but at the same time, it's like, has he ever played with a guy of Embiid's quality on the ball in isolation? Right? Like I think that's a question that we'll find out pretty soon. Like, what's it going to be? I also think if Harden's going to be motivated to work off ball, it's the next 3 months. Like that's when he's going to be most motivated to do it, to like make this work. So part of me thinks that my actual concern is goes back to the pick and roll thing. The thing is, like, I don't know if Embiid is a great pick and roll finisher. It's
Well, have
because
we
he's
seen him in a lot of pick and roll? Sorry to cut you off,
exactly.
but like realistically, yeah.
But it's like the reality is like, why would you? It's like with the players he's played with in his career, why would you run a bunch of pick and rolls with him anyways, right? And he's so good on the low block and in the mid range. It's like why do that, right? Like because the point of the pick and roll and the reason why it's become so dominant in the NBA is it creates great opportunities for perimeter offensive oriented players, right? He's never really played with a guy where it's like let's do that. So I I agree with you, but I also just go, I think the reason why I agree with you is that we legitimately don't know because there's never been a situation where it's made sense for Embiid to ever play that way. But I do think it goes, hey, the best way to get the most out of Harden is a kind of spread pick and roll. The best way to get the most out of Embiid is 4 shooters and just feed him the ball in the low post, like as like a mashup between 2020 basketball and 1997 basketball. So the question is, how do they operate in those spaces in between? How do they divvy that up? How do they kind of give and take to each other's game? And like, I think that's going to be the big issue early on. I don't know if this season they can get a championship to figure out that harmony. And then there's the question is like, is James Harden and is Embiid? Because I do really think people give credit to Embiid as being like someone that's like easygoing, not self-centered, and like not kind of being particular and almost like basically not being a diva. Like, I think he's shown that he is a diva, right? Like, he basically, the Sixers catered to his skill set the entire time he was in Philadelphia. That's probably one of the reasons why Ben Simmons wanted to get the fuck out of there, because he's like, I'm a really good player, and like, you guys, this offense is catered to Embiid, and that doesn't fit my skill set, and like, I don't like that. And then you throw me under the bus when I don't perform well on offense in the playoffs because you built a fucking team that was never going to be catered to my skill set. So we'll have to see about that. But I agree, they're a winner for the simple reason like James Harden is better than Seth Curry and he's better than Ben Simmons not playing at all. Granted,
Yeah.
like is he better than Simmons, Curry, Drummond, and having those two other assets to go maybe bring in someone else? Probably. But like I do really like I love James Harden, but I do really think there's a chance that he is in decline and he might be a fast decliner because he doesn't do the right things off the court. And I love guys that like do their own thing. If you want to go party, go party. But the reality is you hit a certain age, you can't be an elite level NBA player into your mid 30s if you're like, I'm going to go out to party. The human body don't work that way. Right.
Dude, you know what I always thought too? My impression from with Harden was always that he worked hard and he played hard. I think the guy's in the gym. You know, he's in the gym. He works. He practices. I think a lot. You know, he adds something new to his game every year. It's not actually that he doesn't work hard enough. It's just that he also plays too hard. And heading into his 30s, it's gonna be you can't play hard. You just have to only work hard. You know, or else he's probably gonna be a quick decliner. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. It's not actually you have to work hard. It's this. When you get older, you gotta rest hard. Like that's the reality.
Work hard, rest hard.
Yeah, it has to be work hard, rest hard. And it's like if anyone that's like into training will tell you it's like the fatigue to stimulus ratio as you get older becomes so much more crucial to manage. LeBron isn't able to do this because he works his way out of like being able to like fall apart at 37. He does it because he rests incredibly fucking well. He rests when he's on the court when he can. He rests when he's not playing when he can. Like that is the reality of the human body as you enter your 30s. And like that's the reality of the human body when you're 18, 19, 20. It's just it doesn't really fucking matter because the way our bodies are, they recover quick enough. It doesn't matter. That's the big concern. But I still think the Sixers, if they figure this out by the playoffs, like they can win the chip. And like that's the goal. And next season they're going to be great. I do want to say this. Giving up Seth Curry hurts. Like Seth Curry is like the perfect role player next to any superstar. Andre Drummond is a good backup center. Ben Simmons is obviously good, but he wasn't playing for them. And those two future first round picks, they've already given up picks in the past. Philly is.
They went all in.
They went all in. If the Harden and Embiid pairing works out, good. They'll probably win one championship. But I think this is a team that really realistically can only win one championship with the way Harden's bodies has shown some decline. With the question with Embiid, like Embiid's been pseudo healthy for 2 seasons. And everyone's like, well, he's not going to get hurt again. I'll believe it when I see it because guys just get hurt.
Let me ask you this before we get off it. If it was on the table, would you have moved Thibault before you moved Curry? Because that's something I thought about a lot, and I can't really decide. Do you want the elite defender? Or do you want the elite floor spacer?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer. I think I would have probably, if I were them, I would have preferred to move Thibault. Maybe the Nets preferred Curry as well.
I would say Thibault for the simple reason that Curry's on a slightly bigger deal. So if you want to go bring in a third superstar, which I'm sure Murray's already lining up.
Yeah.
His contract's a bit better. I just think at the end of the day, like you have Embiid, you're going to do your drop coverage. Like fuck your defense. Like fuck the defense. Like Thibault's great, but like he's not going to lock down Kevin Durant. He's not big enough. So like who the fuck cares? Like that's all that matters. Okay. Let's go to a loser.